Welcome back to another episode of Mailbag Monday, where Chris and I are tackling all of the questions that we get in through our contact forms and emails and Slack groups. So, Chris, what's in the mailbag today?
This is a kind of a fun one from Sarah, who is asking, unsurprisingly, it's about ChatGPT. If two people ask ChatGPT for help with a blog on the same topic, will we both get the same content, or will it be different for each of us?
Well, there's a lot of it depends in that statement. um, if you're writing two different prompts, or if you're writing the same prompt but there's like slightly different wording in it, you're going to get two different results. If Chris and I were to have two sessions of ChatGPT open, but we're using identical prompts, we are likely to get roughly the same result back. Now, that said, Chris, one of the questions I have for you is how often are the resources, the data sets, the background information being updated in OpenAI so that if I ran a prompt today versus I ran a prompt tomorrow, how big would the difference be?
It depends. So the two models that underlie ChatGPT, the GPT 3.5 model and the GPT-4 model, they have two different systems for updates. One is sort of a data update, and this data update is very infrequent. It's about once a year. It gets new information to work with. The second thing it gets is what's called RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. Every time you use ChatGPT and you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down on a response, it takes that information and is refining and retuning parts of its model. And those updates are released about once a month, right? So in terms of its ability to create content better, it does about once a month. So those are the two updates. What conditions a model to return information, like you said, Katie, is all about the prompt. The longer and more detailed a prompt is, the more likely it's going to be substantially similar if two people were to copy and paste it in. If you were to prompt like, write a blog post about content marketing, you're going to get wildly different answers every time because it's such a short prompt that it's going to create A, very generic content, and B, kind of random content. If you write a post that is substantially longer, a prompt that is maybe like a page long, you're going to get very substantially similar information. So here's one. This is some Google Analytics data, and I'm having it write some recommendations. There's so much information in the prompt that it's going to come up with similar recommendations. But in the previous episode of Mailbag Monday, we ran this prompt, and it came up with recommendations that sound the same but are not identical, right? The last time it said organic social was great. Hey, this sounds really working well. This time it's a lot more warning, saying like, hey, this is over 50% of your total visits. You might want to deal with that. That seems like a problem. You're over dependent on one channel. So even though we've copied and pasted this exact same prompt, which is now, this is like 7 paragraphs of prompt text, we got a response that is tonally similar, factually identical, but very different language.
So, to the question of if two people ask for help, will they get different results? The answer is likely yes. The more you run the same prompt over and over again, the more, to Chris's point, you're going to fine tune the model. It's going to say, okay, you didn't really like what I gave you the first time. Let me see if I can do a better job this time. And specificity is key. And so if you say, I need help writing a blog about content marketing, it's really going to give back whatever is most closely available. It's just going to start grabbing stuff off the shelf and be like, well, this says content marketing and this says content marketing, so here you go. Versus, I need you to be an expert in content marketing. I need you to write in a warm and friendly tone. I need this to be about 5 paragraphs. This is the audience, and so on and so forth. Very different results.
Exactly. So I literally just cleared my session, copied and pasted the exact same thing, the exact same prompt. And it's, again, it is factually identical. It's tonally the same, but the words are different. The words are different. Now, underlying this question is sort of the question of like duplicate content and things like that. And that gets into, sort of SEO territory. Here's the thing. AI content can't be copyrighted. So even if you and somebody else put up the same piece of content from an AI, neither of you can claim it. Neither of you can claim the other's infringing, because none of you can hold a copyright on it, because the United States Copyright Office released a statement saying machine generated works are ineligible for copyright. So if that is a concern you have, you don't have to worry about it, because you can't copyright it. The law is still unclear about AI assisted, right? So if it's spit out an outline and I write the text, that if the text itself is mine, the outline is not. If I edit this post from ChatGPT, the portions that I have edited are mine and are eligible copyright. The machine portions are not, right? So you can imagine this starts to get very, very messy, and the law is still unclear. From an SEO perspective, how is Google going to interpret it? It will be exact duplicate content. Well, we don't know, because Google has introduced its new large language models into its search. It did that back in 2019 with BERT, and now with the Palm set of models, they have even more greater language capacity. It is conceptually possible that the Palm model, which is the model underlying their Bard system, can look at two posts and say these are essentially the same things in slightly different words, and so we'll have to pick which one result is more credible. Do we know this for it to be true for a fact? No, but it is highly likely, because you can ask ChatGPT to ask. You can even ask ChatGPT, here's two pieces of content. Do they have the same author? And it will identify by style, like, yes, this is probably the same author, or no, it's probably not.
So to the question of if two people put in a prompt, will they get the same results? The answer is likely no. They won't. And the more you run, or the more you work with the model, the more it's going to be refined for your specifications. And specificity is key in terms of the prompt that you're giving it.
Exactly. So if you got a question for Mailbag Monday that you want to ask, pop on over to our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers, where you and over 3,000 other marketers are asking and answering each other's questions every single day. And if you want to catch up on past episodes of Mailbag Monday, you can get them in our newsletter. Go to trustinsights.ai/newsletter. Subscribe there. Comes out every Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.